Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. Do not dare swipe away from this sacred message. What I am about to speak into your spirit was unsealed in the courts of heaven, specifically for this hour. God said, "You are my strongest warrior." You did not find this video by accident, because heaven intercepted your feed today to bring you an urgent revelation. That intense exhaustion in your body and that heavy pressure on your chest, stop calling it ordinary tiredness or depression. It is the physical proof of your anointing. Stay with me until the very last second of this message. I am going to reveal the exact reason why hell assigned its highest-ranking forces against your life, and I will hand you the prophetic decree that breaks this heavy pressure forever. Lock your attention on my voice right now. Type 777 or "I am a warrior" in the comments right now as a physical sign of your spiritual obedience. By typing these words, you are anchoring your spirit to the frequency of heaven and sealing this divine appointment into your daily reality. I need you to take a deep breath right now and quiet your surroundings. You have been carrying a quiet tiredness in your bones, and it feels like the kind of fatigue that normal sleep simply cannot fix. Every morning when you wake up, the heaviness is already sitting on your chest before you even open your eyes to face the morning sun. You push through the day with a smile for everyone else. You show up for your family, and you carry the burden of their pain without uttering a single complaint. But inside your private room, when the door is closed and the world is dark, you are barely holding on. You have felt isolated for a very long time, even when you are standing in a room full of people who love you. You can walk into a crowded room and instantly read the atmosphere, picking up on every hidden emotion and silent struggle of the people around you. They call you overly sensitive, or they tell you that you think too much about simple things. But I am here to reframe your reality right now. That is not anxiety, and it is not a psychological disorder. That is intense spiritual discernment, operating in a world that has forgotten how to feel. You are an emotional sponge, absorbing spiritual warfare so that those around you do not get destroyed by the darkness. Your spirit has been working overtime while you sleep. While your body tries to rest, your soul is fighting unseen battles in the spiritual realm to shield your family and clear the path for your destiny. That is why you wake up feeling like you fought a war all night long. The enemy wants you to believe that you are broken, and he wants you to accept this constant fatigue as your permanent identity. But God sent me to tell you today that you are not broken. You are simply a celestial warrior operating deep inside enemy territory without proper armor. You did something recently that proved your true strength to the courts of heaven. In a moment where you had every right to choose war, you chose peace instead. You walked away in absolute silence when they expected you to break down and fight back. You thought that silence was a sign of your weakness, but heaven saw it as a lethal blow to the enemy. Your restraint terrified the forces of darkness because it proved that you can no longer be manipulated by their emotional traps. Now I want to pause and hold something vital before you, before we go deeper into this revelation. Over the past few years, something extraordinary was found in research laboratories that most people who care about spiritual matters have never been told about. A small group of neuroscientists led by a doctor in New York who spent 20 years studying this area found something remarkable about how the human mind is designed. They discovered why spiritually sensitive people carry this specific exhaustion, and they found a physical way to restore the mind. I am going to tell you what they found later in this message. But right now, hold this question in your spirit. What if the reason your mind feels so foggy is not age or lack of discipline, but something that was stolen from you? Hold that question in your mind as we begin to uncover the truth about your assignment. Because the enemy did not target you by chance, and he did not send his weakest spirits to monitor your life. Satan does not waste his strongest weapons or his most cunning traps on weak soldiers who pose no threat to his dark kingdom. He sends his fiercest attacks against the ones he fears the most. He assigned an entire legion against your mind because he knows what will happen when you finally wake up to your true identity and step into your authority. You are not an ordinary human living a difficult life. You are a demonstrated warrior of light who was built to break generational curses and shift the entire spiritual atmosphere around you. Let me reframe your reality right now, because you have been reading the signs completely backwards. Every trial you survived was not a punishment, but a divine crucible designed to build your inner architecture for the glory that is about to be revealed in your life today. Let us step deeper into this divine truth right now. You must understand that the intensity of the warfare you are experiencing is directly proportional to the magnitude of your assignment. The enemy does not send 90% of his dark forces against a warrior who carries no spiritual authority. He deployed his most strategic spirits against your life because he recognized the lethal mantle of light resting upon your shoulders. Look back at the pattern of your life for a moment. Every single time you were on the verge of a massive spiritual breakthrough, the warfare around you suddenly multiplied. The heavy pressure in your mind, the sudden financial blockages, and the unexplained emotional exhaustion were not meaningless occurrences. They were coordinated counterattacks launched by the kingdom of darkness to make you retreat before you reached your target. The enemy saw your spiritual DNA before you even recognized it yourself. He monitored your resilience during the hardest trials of your youth, and he realized that regular weapons could not break your spirit. You survived situations that would have completely destroyed anyone else. You walked through the burning fires of betrayal and grief, and yet you emerged with your faith still burning bright. That is why the forces of darkness changed their strategy against you. They realized they could not destroy you from the outside, so they tried to wear you down from the inside through relentless fatigue. They tried to make you believe that your gentleness was a flaw and that your deep compassion was a weakness. But God sent me to set the record straight today. Your gentleness was never your ceiling, because it was always your divine foundation. Now let us address a quiet pain that has been sitting in your heart for a very long time. There is a specific reason why some of your closest friends and family members suddenly walked away from you without a clear explanation. You spent many sleepless nights replaying those moments, wondering what you did wrong to push them away. You blamed yourself for the painful silence that followed their sudden departure. But here is the profound truth that heaven wants you to understand today. Those people did not leave you because you were deficient or because you were not good enough to keep their love. They left because their spiritual frequency could not travel with you into the next dimension of your destiny. God allowed that separation to happen to protect your inner architecture from toxic frequencies that would have sabotaged your elevation. Heaven cleared your room so that you could hear the voice of God without the distracting noise of counterfeit connections. Those people were decoy lights designed by the enemy to keep you tethered to a lower level of living. When God saw that you were unwilling to cut them off yourself out of loyalty, He stepped in and closed those doors for you. The isolation you felt was not an abandonment, but a divine separation. Take a deep breath and let that truth sink into your spirit right now. You are no longer required to apologize for your spiritual stature or to shrink yourself down so that smaller minds feel comfortable around you. You were never meant to fit into rooms that were built to hold worldly human ambitions. You were born to shift the atmosphere of every environment you step into simply by your presence. The enemy is terrified because he knows what happens when a chosen one wakes up to this reality. When you stop seeing yourself as helpless and start walking in your royal authority, the entire spiritual realm begins to align with your spoken decrees. Your silence was a weapon, but your voice is an instrument of massive transformation. Think about how hard the darkness fought to keep you silent over the past 3 years. You suffered through moments where the heavy atmosphere in your home made it difficult to pray or speak words of faith. You felt like an invisible ceiling was blocking your prayers from reaching the throne room of heaven. But that ceiling was an illusion constructed by the enemy to make you give up right before the floodgates opened. God saw every silent tear you cried behind closed doors when no one else was watching. He registered every single time you chose to extend grace to someone who deserved your righteous anger. You demonstrated the rare quality that makes human souls so precious in all creation. You chose to reflect the light of God while completely surrounded by overwhelming darkness. That is why heaven has declared a new season over your life today. The long years of walking through the wilderness were not meant to break you, but to purge every false identity you carried from your past. You are coming out of the shadows, and you are stepping directly into your season of public elevation. Do not let your mind wander right now, because what I am about to share next will break the cycle of delay permanently. The enemy wants you distracted during this exact minute because he knows that revelation brings liberation. Stay locked into this message with your entire soul because your breakthrough is accelerating right now. Hold on, stay with me right here. There is a deep spiritual principle that you must master before you can fully step into this authority. When you were operating in your survival identity, you spent years defending yourself against every false accusation and every attack launched against your name. You exhausted your energy trying to explain your heart to people who were committed to misunderstanding you. God is telling you today that your season of defending yourself is officially over. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth or plead for their validation. When heaven validates you, the opinion of human beings becomes completely irrelevant. Stand firm in your anointing, keep your eyes fixed on the promise, and watch how God turns your greatest trial into your greatest testimony. Look at the biblical record, and you will see that every single warrior called to shift history was taken through an intense crucible of preparation. Before David wore the crown, he was isolated in the wilderness and hunted by Saul. He spent years hiding in dark caves, wondering why his anointed life felt so painful. Before Joseph ruled Egypt, he was betrayed by his own brothers and forgotten in a dark dungeon. Heaven did not allow their suffering to destroy them, but to build their inner architecture. You are walking in the exact same footprint as those ancient warriors of light. The heavy isolation you endure is not an accident, because God always isolates the vessel He intends to use for a massive breakthrough. You were hidden in the dark so that your spirit could develop without the toxic influence of the world. The wilderness season was never a punishment, but a sacred preparation for the weight of glory coming your way. Now let us resolve a mystery that has been bothering your spirit lately. You have been waking up automatically between 3 and 4 in the morning for several weeks now. You wake up suddenly with your heart beating fast and your mind completely wide awake. You thought it was simple insomnia or an annoying sleep disorder, but that hour between 3 and 4 in the morning is known as the spiritual watchman hour. Heaven wakes you up at that exact hour because the spiritual atmosphere is clear and open. Your soul is being summoned to stand sentinel over your family and pray against unseen attacks. You are a Shema, a holy watchman, assigned to guard divine secrets while the rest of the world sleeps peacefully. Stop fighting the wakefulness and start stepping into your authority during those quiet hours. Take a moment right now to hit the like button on this video. Do not do it for this channel, but do it so this divine warning can reach another warrior fighting in silence. When you hit like, you send a signal into the digital atmosphere that helps this message reach the remnant. You are helping another exhausted soul realize that they are not crazy, but deeply anointed. Now, I want to return to the profound discovery I promised near the beginning of this message. I told you that a team of neuroscientists led by a doctor in New York spent 20 years studying the human mind. They found that spiritually sensitive people carry a very specific physical blockage in their brain structure. Their research showed that modern lifestyle habits systematically disrupt the natural alignment between the two hemispheres of the brain. When those two hemispheres lose their synchronization, your physical mind becomes an inefficient receiver for spiritual insights. You begin to experience constant brain fog, slow decision-making, and a persistent feeling of being disconnected from your divine purpose. You try to pray harder and fast longer, but the physical receiver in your head remains severely cluttered and out of alignment. The scientists discovered a specific way to restore that receiver to its original state. They found a physical mechanism that reconnects the two hemispheres and reactivates whole brain function in just 8 minutes a day. You now understand the full shape of the spiritual battle you are facing, and you see why your mind has been feeling so heavily burdened and exhausted throughout this entire season. We are going to describe that physical solution in complete detail later in this message. For now, hold this truth firmly in your spirit. Your receiver is about to be completely restored. God did not bring you through the wilderness to leave you with a damaged mind. He is providing both the spiritual authority and the physical tools needed to reclaim your power. The enemy knows that your mind is the ultimate battleground for your destiny. If he can keep your brain trapped in a state of constant overload and fog, he can keep you from executing your assignment. He wants you so physically exhausted that you give up on the very promise God spoke over your life. But his strategy is being exposed today, and his hold over your thoughts is breaking right now. Stay locked into my voice, because we are moving directly toward the core revelation of this entire message. What I am about to share next will uncover the hidden blocker that has been keeping you in a cycle of delay. You are standing at the threshold of your greatest transformation, and heaven is ready to release the breakthrough. Lock your spirit here, because the season of confusion ends right now. Now we arrive at the pivotal moment of absolute truth. I need you to lock your attention here, because we are about to dismantle the greatest lie the enemy has ever whispered into your mind. For years, Satan has tried to convince you that your suffering was a sign of God's rejection. He wanted you to believe that you were being crushed because you were too weak to carry the calling. But here is the profound secret that heaven is unsealing over your life right now. You were never being crushed by a curse, because you were actually carrying the physical weight of an immense glory. The pressure you felt in your mind was not a sign of your defeat. It was the undeniable evidence that you carry an extraordinary mantle that makes the entire underworld tremble with fear. Let us answer the ultimate question that God brought you here to understand today. Why did hell assign its fiercest and highest-ranking dark forces against your life? Because before you were even formed in your mother's womb, heaven registered your spiritual DNA as a master cycle breaker. God looked across time and declared over your spirit, "You are my strongest warrior." He knew that you could endure the burning crucible without losing your integrity. He knew that when everyone else compromised their values for temporary comfort, you would stand firm and hold the line for light. That is why God allowed you to walk through the deepest valleys of isolation. He was not abandoning you in the dark, but he was testing your capacity to bear his presence. The enemy recognized your divine rank long before you recognized it yourself. Satan knew that if he allowed you to walk into full spiritual maturity without a fight, your presence alone would dismantle generational strongholds across your entire family line. So he launched a preemptive strike against your youth, your relationships, and your mental peace to paralyze you with fatigue. He could not stop the divine decree spoken over your destiny, so he tried to trick you into sabotaging yourself. He planted a subtle lie in your mind, encouraging you to sign a hidden agreement of limitation. You began to say to yourself, "I am just an exhausted person who cannot handle this pressure anymore." You started accepting your fatigue as your permanent reality. I am here as a messenger of heaven to break that false contract right now. You are not an exhausted victim struggling to survive another day on earth. You are an anointed ruler who was placed in this specific generation to wage war against darkness and claim the victory. It is time for you to tear up every contract of fear and self-doubt that you signed in your dark moments. Look at what happened when you chose to stay silent during your recent trial. You thought your silence meant you were giving up, but in the unseen realm, your restraint sounded like thunder. The forces of darkness realized that their emotional traps no longer worked on you. They saw that even when your body was exhausted, your spirit refused to bow down to their lies. That is why the atmosphere around you feels so extremely heavy right now. The enemy is making his final attempt to distract you before your season of public elevation begins. He knows that his time of manipulating your mind is coming to an abrupt end. The wilderness is officially over, and the doors of unprecedented divine favor are swinging wide open before your eyes. Take a deep breath and feel the truth of these words settling into your soul. The heavy weight on your chest is lifting right now, as heaven releases a fresh infusion of supernatural strength into your body. You are receiving a divine recalibration that will restore your spiritual sight and give you absolute clarity. The years of confusion are being erased in this single moment. You have fought through the darkest nights, and you have guarded your heart against bitterness when you were deeply betrayed. You demonstrated the precise quality that makes human souls so precious to the Most High. You proved that your loyalty to the light is unshakable, even when you were completely surrounded by heavy darkness and silent pain. Heaven has recorded every single sacrifice you made behind closed doors, every tear you wiped away in secret, and every time you blessed those who cursed you was stored in the golden vials of heaven. God is declaring today that your trial is officially turning into your ultimate testimony. The season of hidden preparation is finished, and your harvest is landing right now. You are standing directly on the sacred threshold of your destiny, and the heavy chains of delay are snapping off your spirit. Every generational curse that plagued your bloodline ends with you, because you are the cycle breaker that heaven was waiting for. You are stepping into a dimension of authority where your spoken words will shape the atmosphere around you. Now pay very close attention to what I am about to share with you next. What I am going to reveal will connect something you have felt in your own lived experience with something extraordinary discovered in a research laboratory. And that physical connection is going to explain something about your life that nothing else has ever been able to put into words. Let us bring complete clarity to everything your spirit has felt during this message. You now understand why the spiritual warfare against your mind was so intense. You see that heavy fatigue was never a sign of weakness. The battle was real, but the physical receiver in your head was out of alignment. Heaven is restoring your authority today, and your mind must be prepared to hold the full weight of your blessing. This brings us directly back to the discovery I mentioned earlier from research laboratories in New York. In 1981, a scientist named Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for his research on the human brain. He proved that your mind was created to operate in complete hemisphere synchronization, where both the left and right sides work together in total harmony. When your brain is fully synchronized, you experience heightened intuition, effortless problem solving, and deep mental peace. Research shows that 98% of young children operate in this state naturally, but as we grow older, modern lifestyle habits and stress systematically disrupt this connection. Less than 1 in 1,000 adults ever retain this synchronized state. I need you to hear this truth clearly right now. The persistent mental fog and heavy exhaustion you experienced was not a spiritual failure. It was a physical erosion of your neural alignment caused by living in a noisy world. The enemy used this vulnerability to keep your mind cluttered so that you could not clearly hear the divine instructions for your assignment. Before this solution was released, 2 individuals tested this exact neural alignment protocol. A woman from California who worked as a nurse and spent years feeling spiritually disconnected tried this sequence. After 10 days, she reported that a heavy barrier in her mind cleared away and her daily connection to God was restored. A man from Texas who carried the financial burden for his family experienced a similar breakthrough. He described his prayer life as speaking into a brick wall because his mind was so constantly fatigued. After 2 weeks of using this protocol, he woke up to find the mental fog completely gone and his decision-making became razor-sharp. You might wonder why a medical solution like this is available outside a hospital setting. Dr. Daniel Barone and his team of neuroscientists in New York spent years refining clinical neural sync technology into a simple sequence. They took over an hour of medical-grade brain alignment protocols and compressed it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. They call it the Genius Switch. This is not a meditation app or a simple soundtrack designed to put you to sleep. It is a targeted auditory sequence engineered on the Nobel Prize research of Dr. Roger Sperry to reconnect your two hemispheres. All you need to do is put on your headphones, close your eyes, and listen for 8 minutes a day. The genius switch is not for everyone. It is specifically for the chosen one who understands that God prepares both the promise and the mind that must walk into it. It is for the warrior who has done the spiritual work but is ready to stop treating mental fatigue as a permanent burden. Heaven brought you here because you are ready to reclaim your full capacity. Dr. Barone colleagues originally suggested pricing this protocol at $500, far less than the $7,000 required for clinical neurofeedback equipment. Dr. Barone initially released it at $49, but to ensure every warrior can access it today, the full protocol is available on their direct page for just $39. When you access this sequence today, you also receive 4 digital bonuses to support your journey. You receive a guided visualization audio, a smart grocery guide to eliminate fog-inducing foods, a classic manifestation book over a century old, and an infographic on 5 daily habits for success. Dr. Barone backs this with an ironclad 100% money-back guarantee. The $39 access price is not guaranteed to remain forever. As Dr. Barone team indicated, the fee will increase soon. Every week your neural synchronization remains disrupted is another week where heaven blessings land on a receiver operating below capacity. The breakthrough arranged for your life deserves the fully restored version of your mind. Please be aware that imitation tracks exist on other platforms that lack this clinical neural sync technology. The direct page linked below is the only verified source for this exact protocol. If your spirit confirms this truth, the official link is waiting in the description below and in the first pinned comment. You can review every detail before making your decision. Remember that a physical tool does not replace God, and it does not replace your spiritual obedience. A tool simply restores the physical receiver so that what heaven is releasing can land in a clear mind. What God is building inside your soul is eternal, and restoring your mental clarity gives your calling a strong foundation to stand upon. Now take a deep breath and place your right hand directly over your heart. Feel the steady rhythm of your chest. That heartbeat is proof that God is not finished with your story. The heavy atmosphere that surrounded your life at the start of this message has already begun to shift. You are no longer carrying the spirit of fatigue because heaven has officially clothed you in a fresh garment of divine strength. Speak these sacred words out loud with me right now, or repeat them silently in the quiet space of your spirit. Let your voice carry the weight of your royal authority into the unseen realm. I declare today that every contract of delay and fear signed in my past is permanently dissolved. I am no longer a captive to my survival identity because I am stepping into my true identity as a warrior of light. I command every spirit of heavy fatigue and confusion to depart from my mind right now. I break every generational curse of poverty and sickness that tried to reign over my bloodline for decades. What stopped my ancestors will not stop me because I am the designated cycle breaker sent to rewrite this family history. I release everyone who betrayed me, and I surrender my need to defend myself into the hands of the Most High. I declare that my mind is clear and my spiritual eyes are wide open today. I decree that every door closed by human hands or demonic traps is being supernaturally opened by heaven. Unexpected favor and divine connections are locating me right now because I am aligned with my true purpose. I am not walking in fear because God has given me a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. I claim the fullness of my anointing and I step into the public elevation that heaven prepared for me in the wilderness. The heavy weight on my chest is gone and the persistent fog in my mind is completely cleared away. I walk with unshakable confidence, knowing that the battle has already been won in the courts of heaven. The enemy has no authority over my destiny because I am covered and protected by the Most High God. I declare that my household is blessed, my health is restored, and my future is secure. No weapon formed against my mind, my family, or my calling shall prosper in this new season. I break every assignment of spiritual distraction that tried to keep me running in circles of frustration. From this day forward, I walk in supernatural acceleration where blessings overtake me before I even ask for them. Type Amen or I receive this in the comments right now to seal this sacred decree into your physical reality. When you type those words, you are placing a holy seal upon everything released over your soul today. Do not let the enemy whisper doubts when you close this video. Your agreement in the comment section acts as a physical witness in the natural realm, confirming that you accept the transformation heaven performed today. If your spirit feels burning fire and profound peace right now, subscribe to this channel immediately. Turn on all notifications so you never miss the prophetic instructions that heaven releases for your journey in the days ahead. We are building a remnant army of warriors who refuse to bow down to darkness, and your presence in this community is vital. By subscribing today, you lock your spirit into a collective frequency of ongoing victory and spiritual breakthrough. Share this video right now with at least one person who is fighting a silent battle in their own wilderness. There are other chosen ones in your circle who are crying out for clarity and struggling under heavy spiritual exhaustion. When you share this message, you become an instrument of divine rescue, helping another weary soul recognize their true royal identity. Hit the like button as well, sending a powerful signal so this revelation reaches every hidden warrior on earth. If the Holy Spirit is leading your heart to support this ministry, you can also sow a seed of faith today using the Super Thanks button. Your generous support keeps this light burning bright, allowing us to reach thousands of exhausted souls who need this daily spiritual nourishment. Every seed you sow accelerates the harvest in your own life, opening floodgates of divine provision that no man can shut. Stand tall, chosen one, and walk into this new day with your head held high. You survived the burning fires of the wilderness, you passed the test of silence, and you proved that your loyalty to heaven is unshakable. The season of hidden preparation is officially closed, and your season of public elevation and supernatural acceleration has begun. Go forth in divine power, walk in your royal authority, and remember that the Most High is fighting for you always. May the peace of God, which surpasses all human understanding, guard your heart and your mind as you step into your breakthrough. May His favor go before you like a shield, opening doors that seemed permanently locked and silencing every voice that spoke against your calling. You are loved, you are anointed, and you are protected under the shadow of the Almighty. Rest in His promise today because your greatest chapter is unfolding right now.